Good afternoon. Actually, it's evening, and I wanted to welcome you to another Weekly Spark. I'll tell you, I normally don't film this late in the day, but thankfully I have a great new light fixture, and so it's nice and bright in here, and I can. But today was spent doing a lot of really small, detailed things. I have a show coming up this weekend, and so today I was doing mosaics, and I mean, you can tell by my hands and the scale, you know, I'm laying these beads in one at a time. So, yes, that would be the dog's toy squeaking. So I'm really thrilled with how these came out. They're waiting to have, you know, their frames painted as the substrate cures. But I definitely feel like, wow, that's a lot of squeaking. I definitely feel like I wanted to do something a little loose and spontaneous on this page because I spent all day, you know, hunched over with tweezers inlaying small things into, you know, into the surface of this. So, I mean, such is the life of a mixed media artist: clay, mosaic, epoxy, and now paper. So the alphabet letter is W, and I love that on this page, I mean, it's W on both sides, but I love that there is wild and that there is wise. And they're both down here low on the page, so that's kind of comparable. So I think those two words are going to be featured in this. I'm going to try and center the word I like. Before I glue those on, I want to do really kind of colorful, splashy, gestural, crazy backgrounds. So when I think fast and intense color, really satisfying mark making, I pulled out my King Art. So these are water-soluble crayons. I think I might do a warm page and a cool page. Wild can be warm and wise can be cool. I feel like that makes sense with the energy there. So they're great. They make really intense, creamy marks, and I can blend them with water. And I have a lot of different water-soluble media that I really like, whether it's Tombow markers or, you know, distress crayons or the Faber-Castell gelatos, you know, so a lot of them that do different, they do the same thing, but they do it differently. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but the King Art are definitely the most intense colors, the most pigmented colors. They're pretty inexpensive. So I'm okay that the marks still show, but I just like that it breaks it down somewhat. So that one did get a little more blended. That's okay. Let me give that a second to dry while I try and settle the dog because she's pretty loud today. And then we'll go ahead and glue these pieces in and go on to the next stage that I'm imagining for this. Putting these bits on upside down just because I wanted to have the visual of the text stripe continue through, but it doesn't matter what it says. I'm going to circle the words that I want to keep and let the other words get covered up by what I have planned for next. So I'm going to stencil in black and white. Definitely a mandala on this side. Maybe another mandala or the same mandala on the warm side. Maybe a labyrinth. But I cut those ovals out. I didn't want to put anything down on top of the kind of fragile, old, cheap dictionary paper. So I am going to switch to a clean brush so that I do get some part of this that is white, because the dirty brush on purpose to get some grays. And it lifted off my mask for me. I really kind of love that. I think I'm just going to do the same thing over here. There'll be a nice symmetry then with the 2 pages. Hey, if it ain't broke, why bark at it? Oh, yes, sorry, that would be the dog. So I want to add a little more attention to the word, and I don't mind the word showing in the background, but what I've circled needs to be more different and stand out more. So just picking this portion of the design inside the dotted circle. Well, that gold pen didn't act very gold. It looks more like a neutral than anything else. Let's try one more thing. Well, this is a lot golder than the marker. A little bit messy, but it does kind of what I wanted it to do. It, within the design of the mandala, does accentuate the word, and with the gray kind of toning out the other text, at least in that area, that really brings the word that I wanted to highlight into focus. So this is not a fancy page. This is not a complicated page, because it was some scribble and a little collage glued in, and then a stencil. Really, embellished with a smidge of metallic stuff. But it was the perfect counterpoint to the really small fiddly things that I was doing all day, since it was spontaneous and really tactile. It was about the materials, and it was just a pleasure to do, just a pleasure to smush the paint around. I mean, you saw me with that stencil brush. I wasn't being particularly neat. The brush was dirty. It's fun to just kind of swirl the paint in through the stencil. So that is an episode of Weekly Spark for you. As always, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, give the channel or the video a thumbs up. I would love to have you back again next week. We're on W. We've got just a few pages left. I really wanted to bring this kind of journal to a close. You can see we've got more pages than we have letters, but when we finish the alphabet, we're going to put this journal on the shelf and call it completed. So thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week, but maybe this will inspire you to take it to the page in your own art journal. And until then, have a great week.